Hello, everybody. We're today joined by PCSO Rob Capella, known widely as Mr. Lascelles. Rob's been working for many years here in Lascelles as a police and community support officer. He's been the face of the West Midlands Police here locally. He's built relationships with every group there is, with communities, and is held in great esteem and respect by all sections of society. In fact, I've been in meetings where residents have been complaining about the police, and when you point towards Rob, they say, "No, he's one of us." And that's that's if there is a police community support officer across the region, across the country, who has those strong ties with the local community, it is Rob. Rob, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Back to the job.
Brilliant. So for those who haven't watched Rob's lengthy interview, please go on the Lascelles First website. You can watch it there. Some children from local schools have been watching those interviews, and they've sent in 6 questions for me to pose to Rob on their behalf. So Rob, the first question is, how has Lascelles changed over time?
Well, I've noticed in the 16 years or so I've been working in Lascelles, there's a lot more pride. Pride in the houses, pride in the streets, and actually people's pride in themselves, the way they dress. There seems to be a lot more focus on Lascelles. You can actually see Lascelles. It's not a bad place, and yet people think it is. Beautiful. And the houses, you'll see, improved. Streets, they're used to walk around the streets and be full of rubbish. They're not now. There's plants in the corners. A lot more pride in Lascelles.
Great, thanks, Rob. And now moving on to your role at the West Midlands Police. So why did you go down the road of joining West Midlands Police?
I joined the police. I was a special constable before, which basically I gave up my free time to become a police officer. I didn't get paid. Then my job, that was my full-time job, collapsed. So I applied to become a PCSO and a police officer. I was asked by the local inspector at the time to become a PCSO because of my knowledge in the local communities. I was born and bred in the area, as you can see from the big film. So I knew the people in the area. I wasn't too sure about Lascelles, but I knew people that worked in Lascelles. So it's about actually putting some value back into the community. I felt that I needed to.
Great. Thank you to that inspector who encouraged you to apply for this role many years ago. So Rob, what was the process like? How did you join? And is it difficult to join the West Midlands Police?
No, it's not. It's easy as anything. If you are the right sort of person, you go through a paper sift, an interview, which is usually online at the moment or on phone. Then you go through a bit of scenarios where you have to play a role as a police officer or PCSO, fitness, some maths and English tests. The main thing is you need an MVQ level 3 and above for PC or PCSO. My advice to a lot of the officers that come into the role at the moment is come into the PCSO, learn your skills about talking to people, learn the basics, which is about communication. And then usually what happens after 12 months to 2 years, they will then become PCs. There are a lot of PCs in the area at the moment who I train as PCSOs. They're a lot better for you. And I still get praise from them about how they were trained.
So Rob, we know you've won many awards over the years. You've been, at the Lascelles Awards. You often, you used to go home with bouquets and bouquets of flowers and awards. You used to clean up.
I've probably got the box to the side of me.
Yeah, and to stop you winning those awards, that made you a judge for future years. But you've rightly received a lot of accolade for your hard work that you put in. But if you had to pinpoint one particular achievement, one thing that you look back and think, that is the one that satisfies me the most, whether it's personal or professional. What is that?
Probably 13 years ago, the police decided to concentrate on the problem area of Villa Road and the drugs dealers, and actually Villa Road itself, because people were scared to walk around Villa Road. So we had what was called the St Silas Project, which was based at St Silas Square at the church there, Church of the Firstborn, I think it was, or something like that. The church there. And we used the schoolroom at the back, which was Losel's primary school, I think, in the 60s. And we got a Chief Constable's Award. I was an Occu Commander's Award, sorry, for the St Silas Project. And we got 2 or 3. That was the biggest pride I had, because as a policing team, we dealt with the problem, which was the drugs, and then the St Silas Project was to deal with the victims of drugs, which are the addicts, to help them and get them help. Because a lot of people don't realise the addicts have to need money to buy the drugs, and what they do, they commit crime. So if you help the addicts in the area to get off drugs, seek help, actually you reduce crime without too much problems. I say, but it was difficult, but we got there, because it is difficult to get off drugs. But that was my biggest pride, actually, to see those addicts get off the drugs and see them now. Some of them are parents, some of them are people that live in the community, and they're off drugs. And that's my biggest pride, because actually we did some good.
Great, that's a fascinating story, and really conveys, the sort of person you are. It's about changing lives, and you're absolutely passionate about that. Final question, Rob, from the young people is, what makes you contribute so much towards the community? What motivates you when you get up in the morning, and you go well above and beyond the call of duty? That's said about many people. We see every day. What is it that motivates you so much?
Well, a long time ago, I was taught that anything you do is added value. What you make, you add that value to. So what you make is quality. So always add that quality bit, your bit, the value bit to your job. So I was always taught that from an early age, from my father, perhaps to my apprenticeship days. And I was quoted, a long time ago, we used to use a book called Balbin, which might be worth looking at. It's psychometric testing. That is a big word, but say that you can quite look at a Balbin. There's a test there you can do, and they're saying, I always look at that. I've got the Balbin book. Psychometric testing shows you what sort of person you are. Are you a worker, a completer, or anything? And saying that's how I go by. But I can't go home leaving the job half done, and I can't go home unless I know I've done the best. And I think that's what everybody should do. Do your best. Doesn't matter, you might fail. You're not going to get it right first time, but always do your best. And that way you can hold your head up in pride, and you learn from it.
Great. Rob, thank you very much for answering those questions. Before we conclude, most of the time when we see you in Lascelles, you're obviously in your police uniform.
Mm-hmm.
We're recording this just before Christmas, and you've got a very special Christmas jumper on, haven't you? Do you want to show it off to us, please?
Yeah, well, before I do that, I'll just, because I have 2 jobs for a long time. I've always worked for Aston Villa. I train football stewards, work match days. And it was one of the things why I became PCSO, because otherwise I'd have had to stop working for Aston Villa. So I will show you this. I got this, I think, 2 years ago at Villa Dunes, a Christmas party. So you'll see where.
Hey.
Reindeer. Because remember, Aston Villa started in Lascelles. If you don't know your history, Aston Villa started on top end of Lascelles Road, where New Testament Church of God is. You'll see a little plaque there. If you go around to Radnor Road, Heathfield, Northwest Drive, you will see a place that says Heathfield Park. The first ever Football League game played there under the lights. And I say that's history in Lascelles. And you don't realise it's there.
Great. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you for this interview. And here's for many, many more years of you in Lascelles helping us as a community. Thank you for your time.
Have a happy Christmas, everybody. God bless you.
Thanks. So that was PCSO, Police Community Support Officer Rob Capella, who is Mr. Lascelles. There's no two ways about it, and it's people like Rob that make each and every one of us want to have so much pride in our neighbourhood. He takes his job extremely seriously, goes well above and beyond the call of duty, and he cares. He cares about this community. He cares about the people within this community. He cares about Lascelles, and he wants to help change lives for the better. Keep watching our videos. Keep sending in the questions. If there's any more questions you want to put to us, I'm sure Rob and many others will be more than happy to come back and record these interviews. Thank you, and have